Hey, how you doing? It's Jesse. It's After the Gig. Welcome to the program. Today on the show, I have Ed Valauskas. Ed is a producer out of Boston. He's based out of the Studio Q division. He plays bass in the Abby Barrett band, and Abby is somebody that I had on the program, I don't know, a few episodes ago, handful of episodes ago. And he's a wonderful guy. Ed was instrumental in the recordings for Love in Stockholm. He produced Hold Back the Sun, which was the third album that Love in Stockholm came out with. It was, I think, a 5 or 6 song EP. It's very good. Check it out. It's on Spotify. You can listen to it or wherever you get your music. Ed's the man. He knows everybody. He plays all around Boston. Whenever I've referred to like the Boston music scene on this podcast or in conversation or anything like that, Ed Valauskas is like a central figure to the Boston music scene. Everybody who wants to have legitimate recordings, who wants to be a legitimate musician, I mean, with the exception of Berkeley students that are new to the area, everyone knows who Ed is, and he's awesome. So we started off this conversation. It's kind of, it's a bit weird, not weird, but we get into it in a way where it's more casual than it normally is. Usually I like to keep it casual, just kind of pop the camera on, we start talking or whatever, have a conversation. But the coolest thing ever happened, and we were sitting in the control room of Studio B at Q Division Studios, which is where we recorded this. And if you are just listening on audio, this is available on video on YouTube. So go on YouTube, check it out. You can see us sitting down at the control desk in Studio B, listening to Atmos mixes. I was a little worried originally that the songs that we were listening to, I mean, there was like Paul McCartney stuff. There was Styx, I think, was one of them. But I was worried that it was going to get copyrighted, take it down off YouTube, and I really didn't want that. So I cut a lot of that beginning stuff out. I put the intro when we're listening to the mixes. I mean, it doesn't come through as you would be hearing an intro, an Atmos mix in the video, because obviously, you know, you have to listen on an Atmos system. It's like from my camera microphone, so you don't get that effect in the video. But I did post an intro from this podcast on the Patreon not too long ago, and it's there if you want to see it. Also, the After the Gig newsletter, I would love for you to subscribe if you're new to the show, if you're in the Boston music scene, or you're a musician, or you just like, you know, hearing someone's opinions about the road and how they would do it and how it's done and all that stuff. You can sign up for the After the Gig newsletter. That will be in the description below. It's a Substack, so it's probably jessehumphrey.substack.com. I thought I made it afterthegig.substack.com, but I guess I didn't. Anywho, sign up for that. And as always, the email, if you want to email in, is afterthegigpod@gmail.com. I'll see you on the road. I'll be in New York and Boston on the 9th and the 10th. That'll be in Portland, Maine on the 15th, Burlington, Vermont on the 16th, and the 17th I will be in Philadelphia for something that is not actually on the book. So I will not tell you about that, but I'll be back home. I'm flying out of Philly airport 2 weekends in a row. Two Monday 6 a.m. flights. That sucks. Anyway, and I'll announce this now. If you are in Boston or the surrounding area, I will be in Newton. It's kind of, I think it's technically Auburndale. I'm not really sure. Those Western Newton's huge. It's massive. But Thursday, December 12th, I will be doing a solo acoustic show at Ward 4. And I'm just going to call it Newton. I think that's what comes up in Google, but technically maybe Auburndale. Make a reservation. That's at 6:30. So I think I play from 6:30 to 9:30, something like that. It's like 3 hours. So it'll be a good night. It's always fun to hang out there. Ward 4 is amazing. Ann Hatton, who books the shows there, who's a bartender there, is such a sweetheart and such a champion for Boston music. Also, November 10th, which is my birthday, I was nominated for Best Upcoming Artist of Rhode Island for a New England Music Award, which is very exciting. I didn't find out I was nominated until 2 days before the voting ended, and it was open for like a month, so I must have not checked my spam folder or something. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I don't know how you even get nominated for that or what happened. But whoever did it, put my name forward or put my name in the hat or whatever. Thank you. That's very, very sweet. It's very nice to be acknowledged as an artist in Rhode Island, whether I'm good or not. It's just really nice that people care about music and want to offer that up and to be recognized or whatever. So I don't know who any of the other nominees are. I'm sure they're all wonderful, but hopefully we can smash them and take home the best up and coming artist in the entire state of Rhode Island. I'm very happy to have been nominated, and thank you for whoever did that. I'm done with my spiel. I wish you all the best and have a great week. And this is my conversation with the lovely, wonderful, great Ed Valauskas.
There was one tune on that record. It sounded exactly like Baby Blue by Badfinger. Like it had the exact riff. And it came on, I was in the control room and I started laughing. And the A&R woman was like, "Why are you laughing?" I was like, "That riff that keeps happening is Baby Blue by Badfinger. It's the same key."
Yeah.
She was like, "What? Who?" I'm like, "It's a band called Badfinger from the 70s. Check it out. I bet he gets sued." 6 months later.
Did he?
Lawsuit. Yeah.
Really?
It's like, they knew what they were doing.
Right.
It's like, that's clearly that song. And someone was like, we'll get away with that.
Yeah. It's crazy how much that still happens because there's been a lot of videos going around on like Instagram and TikTok and stuff about Dua Lipa.
Oh, okay.
About a lot of her songs are literally carbon copies of like 80s hits.
Really?
Like one of her big songs, like Levitating is one of her big songs.
Okay.
And there's parts in it that are just literally
Straight
just
up.
like, here we go, put this in here. And somebody did a video. I'll have to find it on my phone later, but like it's like, oh shit, this is the same thing. You know, the same exact melody, the same, you know, the whole idea behind it.
Yeah. I just saw like some dude on YouTube had a thing about Zeppelin, and it was like all the fucking rip-off stuff.
Yeah.
And like shit that they just stole straight out and then did not give credit at all.
Yeah.
I'm like fucking Dazed and Confused. I had no idea that was some folky guy in Nashville. It was his tune.
Oh, I don't know much about all that stuff. I just heard that like, yeah, they're you know, they ripped off so many people.
Well, like they were just, you know, just taking the blues and playing it louder, and it was fucking awesome.
It was awesome.
But like the Lemon song, they played the where they stole that from, and it was like same key, same melody, a bunch of the same words, where I'm like, he didn't even try.
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
Like same words?
Yeah.
Like same lyrics?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And then Dazed and Confused is just straight up cover of this dude's song, and it says Plant Page. And so eventually that dude sued them and won.
Yeah.
And they had an interview with him, and he was just like, it kind of bummed me out that they didn't credit me.
Yeah.
But I finally got my money, 50 years.
50 years later, couldn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, that's insane. I can't believe.
Yeah, those guys were fucking scumbags.
Yeah.
It's just like, ugh.
What do you think about them now? Like with just their new stuff, and do you think they do what they do now on the backs of stealing all that stuff?
I mean, it's not like they stole everything, but there was like a good fucking 10 things where it was just like, okay, that's exactly this other thing. That's fucked up. But I just saw Plant with Alison Krauss last week.
I've always wanted to see that because I love that first record. I mean, everyone loves that first record.
And my friend Jay Belrose is the drummer in that band.
Oh, really?
Do you know that dude?
Yeah.
He's fucking unreal. He lived here for years. super nice dude, unbelievable drummer. So it was Plant and Krause with him on drums. Then it was Dylan with Keltner on drums.
Oh, wow.
I was like, is that Keltner? And I was like, because I was far enough. I was like, sunglasses, beard, plays like that.
Yeah.
Because Jay kind of plays like Keltner. And like when he moved to LA, like he and Keltner became buddies, and Keltner just started handing, like, I can't do this gig. You're better at my thing than I am. You do it, you know?
It's a good hookup.
And then fucking Willie Nelson was the headliner, and Willie was sick, and his kid Lucas fronted it's like the sort of family band.
Okay.
And he fronted. He plays guitar just like his dad, like nylon string, weird phrasing.
Yeah.
And sang his fucking ass off. And I was like, holy shit, this guy's fucking amazing. Like, I was ready to leave, or I was like, it's not Willie. And that's kind of why I'm here. But yeah, fucking Plant and Krause were incredible. And they did like maybe 5 Zeppelin tunes, kind of like reinterpreted for their weird sort of folky thing.
Right.
Fucking awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's for him, of all the people that you're like, oh man, he can't keep that voice up for.
He doesn't sing
long.
like that anymore.
No, but he still has a he's like,
I like it better.
Fantastic voice. It's unbelievable.
Well, he's not singing at the top of his range anymore. And when he would get up there, the fucking sound guy was just like cranking the fucking delay.
Oh,
so it sounded fucking huge, and people were like going nuts. And I'm like, oh, there's the thing.
Yeah.
But he sounded great.
Yeah.
And the two of them together sounded beautiful. And she's a fucking monster. Like, great, like, fiddle player. Mm-hmm. And her brother was playing, like, sort of utility infielder. He was playing, like, guitar, sitar, keyboards. And I'd met him here, like, a couple months ago because he was playing bass on this Lyle Lovett thing. Mm-hmm. And he'd been Lyle's bass player for years. It was this weird children's record that Lyle got hired. It was like Lyle Lovett in the morning and then Yo-Yo Ma in the late afternoon. It was like, what the fuck's happening? But I had to go pick up this dude, Victor Krause, at the airport because he flew in with his upright.
Mm-hmm. And that's got to be stressful.
And so I went and picked him up at the airport, and then we drove around to the fucking Southwest, like, shipping fucking depot and picked up his bass, brought him back here, dropped off the bass, brought him to his Airbnb. And so we spent a lot of time in the car and kind of broed down.
That's cool.
And then when I got tickets to the thing last week, I was just like, hey, man, I ended up getting tickets to come. Are you playing with your sister? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I'll see you there. I was like, you won't, but I'll see you. And I just wrote him like, that band is fucking sick. Like, it was so good. And like, Plant was geeking out over Belrose's playing.
Oh, really?
Like, he kept like pointing to him and be like, Jay Belrose on drums. And it was just like, yeah, it is.
That's rad.
It's cool.
Speaking of Willie Nelson, have you ever gotten into the super old, not super old, but I guess like 50s stuff? Like,
oh, yeah.
That specifically the album Willie Nelson Sings the Classics.
I probably
Columbus Stockade Blues and like all these old songs. When I first got into that record, a buddy of mine introduced me to it, and I could not believe how behind the beat Willie Nelson sings. It's
all of it, guitar playing, the whole thing.
Incredible. It's like a slinky or something. It's like the song's going, he's backing up, and then whoop, right back into it. It's like really crazy.
A lot of weed.
I know, but like
a lot of weed.
It's so awesome.
And that dude is 91.
He's 91 now. Wow.
So he skipped a couple of shows. He was, during a heat wave where it was like 1,000,000 degrees, and he wasn't feeling well. So his kid fronted the band, but then apparently on July 4th in Philly, like, he rallied and played.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, he's got his own, like, the playing behind the beat stuff. His kid was doing it, and I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Because it's such a specific, weird
It's very
thing.
strange. Yeah.
And the singing is just like, but he's got like a much more powerful and like a much richer tone than his dad.
Yeah. How old is he?
I would say his kid's got to be like my age.
Oh, yeah. So like, yeah, 50s or something.
He's probably like maybe late 40s, early 50s.
Okay. Yeah.
His daughter came out on stage with him, and she seemed to be like 6 or something. And it came out and she was just kind of clapping along. But yeah, it was fucking the trip. Yeah, the Willie thing is bananas. That's why I was so pumped to see him, and I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
It's kind of a drag.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah, I was just like, I've never seen him. Like, I've just been going to concerts now where I'm like, that guy's going to die. I'm going to go to that.
That's the way I feel. Like, have you seen, you've seen Dylan live. I've never seen him live just because I know that I've seen so many videos on YouTube and I just know I'd be disappointed.
It was the second time I've seen him. The first time I saw him was, I guess it was the late 80s, maybe early 90s with Petty backing him up. Mm-hmm. So like Tom Petty opened and then the Heartbreakers backed up Dylan, and that was fucking great.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
But the other night, like the mix wasn't as good as Plant and Krause. So that kind of colorized my opinion a little bit. But he's just so apathetic. Like no interaction with the audience at all.
Yeah.
He played piano the whole time.
Huh.
And he would just take these sort of egregious bullshit solos. And it's just, he played better than I thought he would play, and actually sang better than I thought he would sing.
Yeah.
I just thought it'd be like, like Tom Waitsy kind of thing. But he really just did. It was just like he was just getting a paycheck.
Yeah, I'm up here just to be up here,
And I think to a degree, it's like certain dudes like that, it's like that's the only thing they know how to do or want to do. And so it's just like, I have to play, even if I don't want to play. Mm-hmm. It's not like he needs the money.
No.
It's like, hey, do you want to go out this summer with Robert Plant and Willie Nelson? Be like, that seems fun. Sure. But then I think once he's out there, he's like, why am I
doing this again?
I mean, how old's that guy? Late 70s?
Oh, Dylan? He's got to be older than that.
80?
That's what I know.
You have a device with this information. I mean, Plant's like...
How old is Bob Dylan? 83.
I think Plant is like 70 something.
How old's Robert Plant? 75. See, I thought he was older, but these fucking guys, these old guys. There's something there. I mean, it's crazy. I try to think about what the artists of today, what people are going to be listening to and geeking out over down the road, because it's like, it just seems like the 70s and 80s, these artists like really stood, or even before that, 60s, stood the test of time. I don't really see much of that these days now. You must see more because you're in the studio, you hear a lot more artists and stuff.
Not really. I mean,
it's like, no, what else sucks?
I mean, you'll experience this with your kid, which has been super eye-opening for me, is that, once they kind of came into their own taste versus the shit that they'd been hearing their parents play, like...
Yeah.
Like once they found their own thing, and they, I put them on my Spotify family plan or whatever, the shit that they, like, I'm like, who the fuck's this?
Yeah.
This is really good. Oh, this is so-and-so. They're Palestinian artists. I found them on TikTok. Mm-hmm. They find everything on TikTok. And, like, they're super, like, Billie Eilish was an obvious one for them. And Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah.
And I think Billie Eilish will stand the test of time for
I think
sure.
so too.
Olivia Rodrigo, the jury's kind of out for me. I think she may have like
had her moment.
She's got a thing, and unless she progresses and develops some other facet of that.
Yeah.
Like she's just doing kind of straight up 90s.
Right.
Which is cool. Like it's like, oh, a fucking 20-year-old girl who likes Veruca Salt. That's awesome. Who would have thought? And I think, she probably has like a team of people writing with her and, because she's in the machine.
Right.
But I feel like Billie Eilish, it's just her and her fucking brother.
Yeah.
In their fucking parents' house.
Geeking out.
Yeah. And just like she's sitting on a bed with an SM7, like, whispering or whatever. And he's a fucking wizard. But like, they're consistent as fuck. I think
yeah.
Harry Styles is someone who will fucking last, but I don't know that they'll have the impact of like
Yeah.
a Madonna or somebody like that.
Right.
Not that she's worn well over the years, but
It just seems like, the cycles that things naturally go through. Like we had our little 80s pop maybe a few years ago, and now 90s fashion is coming back, and
yeah,
a lot of that stuff like the weird sunglasses and neon and things like that.
yeah, it's bad.
It's just it's so strange how it all happens.
But my kid likes some fucking hip shit where I'm just like, that's like a straight up fucking good song. Who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And it's like, you asked me that last week. It's still the same person. Where it's like she's really into Mitski. Do you know Mitski?
Yeah, my buddy plays keys for her.
That band is fucking great.
Rad. Yeah.
We went and saw her at MGM. She did like 5 nights.
My buddy was playing keys at those shows.
That band is sick.
Yeah, he played keys on my single I came out with in December.
So they set up in like in the round, and she's like in the middle. She comes out in like a giant shower curtain, and you can't see her or whatever, and you can't see. The band is like totally blacklit, and then the thing drops, and the whole lights up, and it's like, oh, she's got a whole fucking band around her, and it was like seeing like David Byrne or something. It was like performance art.
Okay.
It was just, and I didn't know what to expect because her records are kind of all over the place. She's kind of like early stuff's kind of rocking, and then it got more and more kind of strange as it went.
Yeah.
And apparently she fucking lived here for a while, probably went to Berkeley, and she was like, yeah, I used to play this place in Jamaica Plain, the Midway. And I'm like,
What?
like 12 years ago, that lady was playing at the Midway on like a Sunday afternoon.
That's insane.
And then playing like house concerts in Allston.
That's great.
The fuck?
Got to come from somewhere.
But like, she's probably in her 30s, maybe.
Yeah.
So like in her early 20s, she's fucking playing the Midway. She's probably taking the train out to Jamaica Plain, where they're acoustic, playing to fucking no one.
Right.
And now she's selling out 5 nights at fucking MGM.
And that's the interesting thing. Like, I was talking to Ty, my buddy's name is Ty, and I was talking to him about this tour because he was right before he started playing with her. He was Joss Stone's musical director.
Okay.
And I think he still is, but
She's been around for a while.
Forever. And then he started doing that. I was like, oh, you're playing how many nights at MGM? You're playing how many nights where? Like, it was just very interesting the way.
Like residencies, like she would just pull into like Philly and play 5 nights, and then go to Boston and play 5 nights.
And I had never heard of her before. Yeah. And then I go back and listen to the music. I'm like, this is interesting, but like 5 nights, like sold out MGM. It's like, this is crazy. And then he was just telling me about her vibe and everything that she does.
Huge.
She's cool. Yeah. It's
and like,
crazy.
My kid Augie was telling me that like she won't do like a tour. She like holes up in a city.
Yeah.
Because anytime she fucking shows up in an airport or whatever, she's just mobbed by people. And I'm like, I literally just heard of this lady like a year ago.
Yeah, yeah.
But she's been putting out records for 10 years or some shit.
Wow.
But yeah, she's
the consistency. It's,
and the sort of growth. Like, she's the real deal. Like, she will be around. But the other shit my kid has gotten into, again, with fucking TikTok, like, they're becoming very sort of interested in like our family heritage, which is fucking Lithuanian and Turkish and whatever. And so they're getting really into like weird Eastern European music.
Yeah.
Which is a little annoying after a while. It's like, hey, can I DJ in the car? I'm like, can we play something that is of this era and in English, please? Because after a while, I'm like, I love sitar and I love kooky, balalaika and whatever. Can we play something that's like a little, just listen to a fucking rock song?
Yeah.
But like just into that shit, and really into this like 50s comedian named Tommy Lair, who was like he wrote like these protest songs, but he was kind of a comedian, and it was just him and a fucking piano. And it's all like the lyrics hold up today.
Okay.
It's really smart and really fucking funny. I'm like, wow, how do you know this? It's like TikTok. I'm like, all right.
It's so strange.
As much as I've been like, fuck TikTok and fuck Facebook and whatever, I'm just kind of like, it does serve a purpose, and it makes me think like, okay, like if this is how you're discovering music, like how does an old person like myself, how do we market our fucking old man rock? How do I get Abby Barrett more than 75 people out to the Lizard Lounge?
Yeah. I don't know. It's strange. It's like everybody has to wear that. Now that like everything is so disconnected with like music and industry and finding your audience and markets, the attention span, all the options everyone has, it's really difficult. You have to...
It's difficult, but it seems like it's better than ever. You know, like
Right.
Mitski, case in point. Like, or how does fucking Billie Eilish go from like playing in her bedroom to, I mean, whatever, she gets a song on K-Rock when she's 13 and someone hears it and signs it and develops her thing. But it does seem like there's a, you know, it's like I look at the Paradise list or like Bright Music Hall and I'm like, Sinclair, I'm like, I don't know any of these bands.
I did the same thing like a couple of days ago because I was going to be, or I had some free time or whatever. I was like, I'm going to check out the calendars of these places, see if I maybe go to a show, see if there's anything I'm into. And I was just like, man, I don't know anything. Like,
it's crazy.
There's so much stuff out there. It's incredible.
So much stuff, and it's like, and some of it's great. Like I'm trying to not be the fucking old, you know, white guy yelling at the fucking clouds, you know, back in my day, whatever. But it's like, there really is some good shit.
Yeah.
You just got to dig for it. And thankfully I have a fucking 12-year-old who loves digging for it.
Loves digging.
Yeah, they hit me just so much stuff where I'm just like, it's been really refreshing because it's, like I said, it's like I don't go out unless I'm playing.
Right.
Or I'm going to go see a guy who's going to die. It's like, do I need to go see Niccolo again? Yeah, maybe. Do I need to see Costello again? Yeah, fuck it, I'll go.
Yeah, I'll do it.
And then, speaking of a dude who sings way the fuck behind the beat these days.
Really?
It's like he doesn't care, it seems like. He's just started using in-ears. Okay. And I think the only thing he has in his ears are his guitar and his
vocal
voice.
Yeah.
And so the band is playing it like the record, and the drummer's playing Pump It Up exactly at the tempo, and he's just like so behind, and it's just, it makes the band sound fucked up.
Right.
And it's like, if you don't want to do that song anymore, we don't want to hear that song anymore either.
No one cares. Not like that.
Definitely not like that.
Definitely not like that.
The last couple times I've seen him, I'm like, I'm not going again. Maybe it'll be better this time.
I want to ask you a question about like being in a big studio, working in a big studio, and the difference of like, because we were listening to the Atmos stuff and it sounds incredible in here, but also we were talking about how people don't have it in their house. No one's ever going to really hear the nuances of it as far as like in their house or whatever, or at least not for a little while. Some people can, a lot of people don't. They listen on their headphones,
right?
Whatever, not optimal listening experiences. How does that pertain to like the effect on the big studio and having artists come in here rather than, you know, having it be expensive and having to rent out time, or as opposed to them just recording at home and how good that's gotten over the years? Like,
well, I mean, I think COVID proved to everyone like we can still get work done in our fucking houses and wherever.
Right.
You know, I still feel like dinosaur kind of places like this one, even though we're a new dinosaur, or in our third iteration of being a dinosaur.
Right.
I think people are still, you know, as a drummer, it's like people still want to record drums for real in a real place through a real board with real microphones. And there's only so much you can do in your bedroom or your basement or whatever.
Yeah.
And I also think like, even though COVID made everyone an engineer, they're
still real engineers.
They're still real engineers. And so there are, you know, it's like you can get decent sounds, but like to get it to a place that will translate to little kids with their earbuds or whatever it is you're going for. Like this, places like this are kind of a necessity. Like if you want an Atmos mix, you can't do that in your house.
Can't do that at home.
You can do it in headphones and get it kind of close. Like I have some friends who like have been doing Atmos mixes on headphones and their shit sounds great, but it's because they're fucking great.
Yeah.
Not everyone is great.
Right.
You know? But yeah, I mean, you know, a place like this is a, whatever. I think we've expanded our business a bit to doing like a lot of like, you know, voiceover stuff and a lot of like location shoot kind of things where like people will need a nice space to shoot a promo video for something. Like we just had this woman, Elisa Amador. Do you know her?
I don't think so.
Alyssa Amador. She won the NPR Tiny Desk thing last year. And she like some of her stuff she sings is Latin and some of it's in English. Just fucking great singer-songwriter. Dave Brophy plays drums with her.
Cool. Great.
And she ended up getting a spot on the Kelly Clarkson show. And they do a lot of that stuff remote. So she shot a video of her and Brophy and a bass player like playing live in the A room and recorded it and filmed it. And
that's awesome.
So there's shit like that happens here that like didn't happen some of it happened in the old place, but like this room, it looks great too.
Yeah. And
you can really do like the live recording stuff pretty well in terms of like being able to isolate shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can do so much stuff at home and stuff sounds great. I made a fucking record with Juliana Hatfield last year or over the last 2 years where we cut the drums in my space. I cut all the bass in my basement. She did all the overdubs in her living room on fucking GarageBand, for fuck's sake. And it was like a file management nightmare. But then like Pat mixed it and it was like, oh, this sounds fucking amazing.
Great.
I used my fucking phone as a room mic and just like lined it up to the fucking snare. And it's like, it's like $1,000 room mic.
Yeah.
But I used it like, like when you're recording like rehearsal stuff and it's like the iPhone has like this compression that kicks in and makes it's like, wow, that sounds fucking distorted and fucking awesome.
It sounds rad.
It sounds sick. So I'm like, why not just use that as a room mic?
Yeah.
And on a couple of the tunes, like that was like the primary mic that Pat used for the drums.
That's bananas. I mean,
to make it sound, whereas like, typically you would put some sort of like shitty mic, like near the snare, like
the crotch mic.
The crotch mic, where it's like super blown out sounding and it's like, oh, that's fucking awesome, but not super applicable.
Right.
But
if you pepper it in there, it's cool.
But this actually had like some low end to it and it was fucking blown out. It was just like, oh, great.
Yeah, I've had that experience with my iPhone mic, just like putting it in the room or, I don't know, just doing a video or something like that, or just wanting to take some kind of like reference sound or get some idea down and be like, oh, that actually sounds awesome. I'm going to put this into Logic and mess with it. And some really cool stuff has come out of that.
Yeah, I love it. Like like Abby rehearsal stuff where I'm just kind of like, we're working on a new song and we'll send the rehearsal tape around and I'm just like, drums sound fucking great.
Yeah. Yeah. How long have you been producing?
I think the first couple things I produced were like 1997.
Okay.
But for real, like doing it like records, not just like one-off song things. 2001.
Okay. Yeah.
23 years.
Okay. What are some of the things that, from when you started to now, like big things that you learned along the way that have really changed your outlook on producing?
Like, I think as I've gotten older, like being a little more hands off than I,
Sure.
have been, where I'm like, when you're younger and you fucking think you know everything, it's just like, oh, this arrangement is all wrong.
Yeah, yeah,
This is
yeah.
what I would do. And it's
We're
like,
gonna flip this on its head.
and sometimes that's helpful, but other times it's just like, no, it's fucking fine the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you meddling?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I feel like I've learned. It's like more just kind of like, to, whatever, let the artist be their thing, and trust your instincts a little more, rather than like, where it's like, I don't know, you come up with a part, and you're like, yeah, this works, it sounds great. And it's like, yeah, but if I did these 18 other things and made it overly complicated, it's like, no, just play fucking eighth notes and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's like, are we good? Or we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, is this what is best for the song? I mean, that's the one thing I feel like I've kind of has been my thing all along, is like, everybody has to serve the song.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing I feel like I learned from Mike Deneen, who was my boss, who ran this place for years, who just, the anniversary of his death was yesterday, 6 years ago. But I learned so much from that dude, just from like arranging to like getting sounds to like, just little tricks here and there, but just in general, just like, it's all about the fucking song.
Yeah.
And the singer.
Yeah. Do you have tendencies going into sessions that you normally just do that kind of make one of your productions, but like change kind of throughout the session when you get to know the artist a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, I generally work with people I know it to some degree. It's never like I'm totally going in cold with some rando person. There's been a couple things I've done where I was a fan of that person and I didn't know them at all, and it just kind of happened, and like those were easy because it was like, oh, this person's awesome. You just let them do their fucking thing.
Yeah.
And go, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff I feel like it develops as you go. So you have a skeleton of a song and people have their parts or whatever, but then on the 50th listen, you're like, it'd be cool there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or that thing that everyone thinks is working, it's not
working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But whatever, as you know, it's like the band is only really as good as its drummer. Right?
It's true.
You can't be a good rock band with a bad drummer.
Yep.
And, is the song good? And, I've had the good fortune of working with people who are fucking great songwriters and playing in bands with people who are great songwriters.
Yep. Yep.
And that's huge. And I've learned over the course of many years, like playing with really great people, like you pick up things from those people along the way.
Yeah.
And then implement them later in other things.
Yeah. I'm sure it's kind of a, I kind of know the answer to the question already, but it's like, when you're doing the sessions, is there ever, like, I know in bands, I'm sure in bands that you've been in, when you're working on something and it's like everybody seems to think they have the best idea. Do you ever run into that problem when you're in the studio with bands, like a lot of cooks in the kitchen, or you're basically, or do they hire you because you're the one that's just going to make the decisions,
I think, I mean, every band is different, but it's nice to have like a fifth band member or sixth band member who's impartial, who can be like
subjective.
Yeah, where it's like, okay, I get why you're playing that part and it's cool and it works, but you're actually stepping on the vocal, and in your rehearsal space you might not hear that. I remember working with you guys, I forget what song it was, but Evan and I had a moment where it's like big sort of piano intro thing.
Yeah, and I think I remember because we did on one of our songs we had a tack piano part, and it was dun, 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 dun. Anyway, go on.
But so it was like this big piano intro thing, and then the band kicks in.
Yeah.
and it was a cool part, but I was like, I don't know, man, could that be better if it was just simpler and not, so notey or whatever? And I remember Evan just being like, he's like, man, why are you trying to kill my baby? And I was like, and as soon as he said that, I was like, that's fair. Like, because the part was great. I just thought, like, I kind of err on the side of simpler always.
Yeah, of course.
And I was just like, I don't know, it's a little flowery or whatever. And he's like, oh, come on, man. And I was like, you're right.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
So there's definitely moments like that where I've, I let my sort of tastes kind of step on the thing a little bit, where it's like, is it fine the way it is? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is anyone going to fucking care? Nope, it's great.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I've ever taken away from sessions with you is your famous quote that I use all the time.
I'm sure I stole, yeah.
That I'm sure you stole, that I stole from you, is it's not going to affect record sales. That's my favorite thing I've ever heard anybody say in the studio.
I attribute that to Rafi, who is the head engineer here. But I think the owner of that is Dave Maddox.
Okay.
Do you know Dave?
No.
He's the drummer in Fairport Convention, played on XTC's Done Such record. He played with a guy named Paul McCartney.
Oh. Heard of him, yeah.
Nick Drake. He's incredible. British guy, very sweet, very funny. He's been living in Marblehead for years.
Oh, wow.
But I think it's not going to affect sales is a Maddox quote.
Yeah. I think it's one of the best things ever.
Oh, it's great. And to this day, I mean, anytime there's a thing where it's just like, oh man, it's got to be this. And it's like, does it?
Does it?
It doesn't.
You think it might.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Speaking to like...
Or mistakes too, where it's just like,
right.
oh, that sounds cool. And it's like, it's not going to affect sales.
Right. Well, speaking to like what you said about being a producer from 2001 to now and kind of getting out of your own way, like I use that phrase. I tell it to myself all the time when I'm getting like fighting for a part in a song, when I'm like, I'm right, my idea's right. I just tell myself like, just let it go. Just let it go,
And so it's whatever. It's a hard thing.
It's hard when you're in a band.
When you're always right in your mind. And when you're in a band.
Which I am.
Yeah, clearly.
Obviously.
But when you're in a band with a bunch of people who are always right, it can get a little weird. Your band was a little like that.
We were definitely like that.
But it's kind of why it worked.
Yeah. I think, I think about it a lot. Like if Love in Stockholm was still around, or if we stuck it out a little bit through some of the hard times that we had after we did, after 2014, like Charlie went to New York to do his thing, and then he left the band, then I started singing. Right. And, I think if we stuck it out as like the main group with Charlie and everything, we worked through a lot of those ego things. I worked through a lot of those ego things. I think we could have been like one of the bands that's like, we're on our 25th anniversary tour, and
totally,
and I think we were one of the really good bands in Boston when we were around.
Absolutely, sure. I think it is the kind of thing where like, as you get older, you learn how to be in a band, be a better bandmate or whatever, and trust other people. Like you're in a band with people because you love them as people, but also how they play, and so you got to trust people. Right. And like, I definitely, if someone's playing something egregious where I'm just like, settle down, like, just fucking play a beat.
What are you doing?
It's cool. And I police the shit out of myself, where it's just like always trying to write some orchestrated part where it's like, okay, the second time the chorus comes around, I'm going to play this fucking reharm bullshit.
Yeah.
Just because to my ear it sounds good, and it's like, it's kind of distracts from the vocal.
Right.
Maybe don't do that.
Right.
For once in your life.
Yeah.
Just fucking play 8 notes and shut the fuck up. But no, I think that's how bands stay together. It's like I always look at like, people get weird about money and whatever, because there's so much money to be made as a local band. But
it's because there isn't, because everyone wants to fight for the script.
Yeah. There are tens of dollars to be made.
Tens of dollars.
But I think that, bands like REM or U2, where it was like all four dudes were credited as songwriters, all four dudes share equally in the thing. It's like, that is how you keep a band together.
I think that's the way to do it.
My friends, the Figs, like to me, it's like once you make a record, it is no longer for you. It's for other people. A healthy ego is a good thing, and an unhealthy ego is this fucking kiss of death in a band.
Worst, yeah.
And whatever, that's not to say that like tension and whatever doesn't bring about great art. It does. But like at some point there, it's like everyone should be in therapy. Everyone should start dealing with their fucking childhood shit that is like rearing its head in your adult relationships, particularly when you're interacting.
Mine was great, but most people should do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are exceptions. But it's just like, oh man, all right. You can see it in someone where it's like, all right, your grandmother didn't hug you enough as a child.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's so hard to deal with all the personalities.
It is. And when,
the best thing I ever did to combat that was work in the service industry. When I became a bartender and started just seeing all like, it's like there's like 6 people in the world. There's 6 different personalities. There's like, are you this one? Are you this one? This one? This one? And at one point, when people would come in, you could just like within, a few sentences, be like, you're this person.
You're that guy. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, then you do that, and that served me very well in being in bands and
well, you learn how to
that.
because whatever. Do you want to have a pleasant evening at your job? And it's like, okay, this person is this, and if I play it this way, everything's going to be cool.
Yeah, and if I don't, it's going to be a disaster.
And producing records is a lot like that too, where you kind of suss out who's like the strong personalities, who's on the spectrum, and who's not, and how you interact with that person, and like, how you and I interact might not work for the guitar player or the bass player or whatever.
Yeah.
And you really, a lot of that job is like psychology and getting the best performance out of someone, where it's like, I've worked with producers who are fucking brilliant and talented and not the best bedside manner, where it's just like, I don't know, man, like, I think the 3rd take I played is pretty great. But yeah, let's do the 27th take. That's really going to that's going to affect sales. Just like the sort of methodology of like just beating someone into submission until they hate themselves more than they already do.
Right. Yeah, I've heard that millions of times. Like,
but for some people, they need that.
Yeah.
Some people just like they need to be fucking whipped into shape and because, there are certain people it's like they never play the same thing once. Right. It's like, hey, I could play the solo like this, or I could play it like this, or I could play like...
Pick one.
Yeah, man. The first thing you did and the third thing you did, let's combine those ideas. Yeah, but I could do all these things. It's like, that's cool that you like fucking Al Di Meola or whatever.
Right.
But you're in a band that sounds like the Stones. Stick to the fucking thing.
Because you're going to make my comping life miserable if you don't.
Yeah, like I get that you're a great drummer and you don't need a click.
Yeah, but we're doing it.
And it's cool that the chorus speeds up a little bit. And I love that shit. But like everyone's got to be on board and the band has to be super well rehearsed.
Yeah.
And it's got to make sense musically. But if it's just like you're playing this pop thing and it's just like, I don't need a click. It's like, no, you do. Yeah. Because
the headspace that
when we've done 27 takes and you want to fit that one cool fill that you did on the 27th take into take 3, and it's totally a fucking different time. It's
completely different.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, not going to work.
That's cool that you did it.
Yeah.
That would have really affected sales, that fill that you did.
Yeah.
That's going to happen during the fade out.
No one's ever commented on the fill that's like of a pop song.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I feel like I have. Yeah, there's
Oh well, I shouldn't say that. It's like you have.
Of course you-
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
everyone knows that. Everyone knows Jack and Diane. And that's the biggest one.
that's a big one. Yeah.
Did you ever see the interview with him about that, Phil, with Kenny Aronoff? He was talking about it, and he's like such a personality, and the way he's talking about it is amazing. It's almost like it was a life or death situation when you ask him. But it's like, I had to play this Phil that was going to affect the rest of history of music.
That Phil affected sales.
It for sure affected record sales.
It really did.
Yeah. And he's just talking, I guess it happened on like the first take, and he just came up with it and did it, and it was like, there it is. And it was such a nothing thing for the rest of the crew. Like, they didn't realize how big of a deal that Phil was going to be until it happened.
And it seems like when you hear like whatever, like when you saw it for the first time on MTV, you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. And then hearing it now, it's like, that seems really inappropriate to the song.
Yeah. Right.
But good for them for having the foresight to be like, no, it is cool.
Yeah, it would be cool.
Or like the fucking Phil Collins Phil,
right. All these like big statements, I do think that there's a little bit of like, we're talking a lot about like getting out of the way of the song, but a lot of that ego and adding these like really colorful decisions in songs do make a difference.
Oh yeah, and again, like you're playing with people who you trust, who are going to make the fucking song better. So like when you have Kenny Aronoff doing a thing, it's like, yeah, let him do his fucking thing.
Yeah, he's going to do the thing.
And I mean, yeah, and whatever, that guy, he is a songwriter in the first degree, but it's like he surrounded himself with fucking great players that really everyone had their own personality, you know? And I think that's important.
It is important. How often are you playing out these days, playing live? Like, what's the balance of studio to live stuff these days?
I probably play out more than I should. It's like once a week, every 2 weeks. And, mostly like, I'm playing with Abby Barrett this Saturday at the Lizard. And like last week I played at Sally O'Brien's with Todd Tebow on a Thursday. Just lots of, steady small gigs with people that I've been playing with for 10 years or so. And then I've had a bunch of fucking, like this year in particular, had like super random, cool, kind of like life-changing gigs where I'm like, why am I here?
Interesting.
that kind of shit.
Like what?
All right, here comes the fucking name drops.
Let's
Ready?
do it.
This is the clank section of the interview. So I've been doing this hot stove cool music thing.
That's been going on for years.
So
I've never gotten an invite.
This is the 24th year that we've been doing it.
24th?
We started in 2000.
Holy shit! Does Peter Gammons play guitar every time?
The first year, it was his idea.
Okay.
It was like, okay, I don't play golf, but I want to have like my version of a celebrity golf tournament.
Yeah.
And I like rock music. Let's do a charity concert. And so, yeah, Gammons started this thing. And the first year he didn't play at all. We just had like, I think it was Kay Hanley, a band from New York called Carlton Fisk, and a band from Boston called Thurman Munson, which was fucking hilarious.
It's amazing.
It was amazing. That was the first one. But over the course of the years, like we've had different, like, Gammons is friends with Tedeschi and Trucks, and they came one year, and then we've been able to, entice rockers who have sort of baseball nerd kind of penchants, like Eddie Vedder has come and done our thing 3 times. And so yeah, in February, I got a call from this woman who runs a charity in Chicago for Chris Chelios, the hockey player. So they retired his number this year, and he is friends with Vedder and said, hey, can you come play my retirement thing? And they were going to put him with some like cover band in Chicago, and he was just like, I'll do it if you get the hot stove guys to do it.
That's rad.
Which I think Theo Epstein might have put that bug in his ear, like, hey, why don't you call those guys?
Right.
And so I got this call from this woman, super cool lady named Mary Beth, and she was like, "Hey, can you come play Chris's retirement thing with Vetter?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds fun."
It's like, sure.
So we did like 2 nights. We did like a private party at some restaurant bar thing, and then we played in the atrium of the United Center in front of the Michael Jordan statue. It was fucking wild.
That's
And
incredible.
so that was like the third time I played with him, and fucking best guy.
Yeah, he seems like it.
He's great. And he's a fucking baseball nerd in the first degree, but just, just a good person, and really like I've never been on stage with anyone who is giving like 150%. Like he makes you play better because he's so fucking into it.
Yeah.
And just has great taste. We're similar in age. And so like he's a nerd about a lot of shit that I'm a nerd about. And so I did that in February, and that was a blast. And then in March, I did a thing at Crystal Ballroom and at Somerville Theater. Our friend Gary Smith, who used to own Fort Apache Studios, had passed away, and there was a tribute to him with a bunch of artists that he worked with. And so the first night I got to play with Tanya Donnelly, who's a dear friend of mine from Belly and Throwing Muses, and she kind of put this whole thing together. And then the next night, me and a couple of other folks played with Billy Bragg.
Oh,
and I was just like, okay, why am I here? And like rehearsed with him once, and he was like, that sounds good. And I'm like, you sure? You don't want to run the shit again? He's like, nah, it's fine. And like he was great. And then in May, I ended up doing this thing up at this new club in Gloucester called The Cut.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about this place.
Fucking beautiful.
Really?
It's like holds like 475.
Okay.
And some friends of mine have a studio. This guy Tony Goddess has a studio on one floor of this building, and then someone bought the whole building and put a venue and a restaurant above him. And my friend Tom Clark was involved in building it. And so anyway, they had a show there. Are you familiar with Nuggets, like the box set of 60s psychedelic stuff that came out like 50 years ago?
No.
Lenny Kaye, who's Patti Smith's guitar player, basically got to curate this collection of like 60s psychedelic shit. And so he's been playing shows in various cities over the last couple of years to celebrate the 50th anniversary of this comp that he put together. And so I went to see it in New York last summer. It was like fucking Patti Smith, Peter Buck from R.E.M., Vicki Peterson from the Bangles, Dennis Dyken from the Smithereens on drums, and they would just have guest singers.
Okay.
And it was 2 nights of that, and I was like, holy shit, this is great. And so they decided to do it at the Cut in May, and Tony was like, hey, do you want to play bass? I'm like, okay, sure. And it was like, whatever. The band was fucking sick. And Lenny Kaye was like the band leader. This guy Jim Mastro from a New York band called the Bongos, who plays with Alejandro Escovedo. He was kind of the music director. And then it was John Worster from Superchunk on drums, who plays with Bob Mould. And then on some songs with Hugo Burnham from Gang of Four on drums.
Oh.
And then David Robinson from the Cars on a couple tunes. Greg Hawkes from the Cars on keys. Bill Janovitz from Buffalo Tom.
Holy shit.
Vance Whitfield, Willie Alexander, Clint Connolly from Mission of Burma, and then Peter Buck, who just like a week out was like, he kind of flies around and does these whenever he can.
Okay.
And they're like, hey, so Peter Buck's going to be on the gig. And I'm like, okay. And it's like, whatever, that guy's music changed my life. And, for 2 days, I'm like standing next to this guy talking about fucking pajamas and fucking recording. And
That's awesome.
And I kept it together. I didn't nerd out too much. I asked one nerdy REM question. That was it. Otherwise, we just like played music together, and it was
That's
like
fucking cool.
It was fucking great.
That's so cool.
But again, it was just like imposter syndrome of like, why the fuck?
What am I doing here?
I'm not that good. I'm fine.
Hey, C's get degrees. You know what I mean?
What's that?
C's get degrees.
Yeah. Keep the bar low.
Just gotta maintain.
That's good. I'm gonna use that.
Being cool doesn't hurt either.
I mean, as much as I'm an okay enough bass player, I feel like the fact that I'm fairly laid back and easy enough to get along with allows me to do a lot of this shit.
Yeah, I think so.
And I'm also fairly organized and can do other things than just play bass. Like, you know, like whatever the hot stove thing, I've been sort of the music director for at least 22 years of that nonsense.
Wow.
And just whatever, like, you know, the intangible stuff kind of. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not good at giving myself credit for things, but I feel like that stuff I can do pretty well. And, you know, whatever. Like if I have to learn 30 songs, like on a dime, I can do it.
Right. Well, because you have, you know, a wealth of knowledge about this music and all that stuff. So
It certainly helps
sure it comes naturally
when
at
you're a
some point.
fan of that stuff, where
Right.
it's just like you kind of know where it's going to go, even if you've never played before. Not, and that garage stuff is like, it's all pretty simple stuff for the most part.
yeah.
But it's so similar that it's like, oh, that's not the bridge to that one. Oh, it's the bridge to that one. That happened a little bit. Like
Really?
we did like a rehearsal the night, like the whole day before, and then a sort of VIP rehearsal in front of like 30 people. And
Yeah.
Lenny like read from his book. It was like a whole thing. But there was a couple bits that I fucked up, and Buck also fucked up at the same time. And I was like, oh, I was like the fucking, it goes to the 5 in the solo there. And he's like, yeah, I know. He's like, I fucked that up because you fucked it up. And I was like, oh, so you're just watching my hands. Okay. Because at one point I was like, you know, he was, whatever, he and I were on the same side of the stage, and I was like, I'm just going to hang back by the drummer and let him be fucking Peter Buck. And he was like, no, you should stand up here too.
Stand up here. Actually, turn a little bit towards me.
It was a little bit of that. And at first I was like, okay, cool. Peter Buck wants to hang out.
Yeah.
Nah, he just wants to,
Yeah.
he wants to look at my
something.
left hand.
He wants something.
And so when I fucked that up, he was like, yeah, that's your fault. I was like, cool. I was like, well, we made it apart. We both did the same wrong thing at the same time.
Yeah. It's like, I was watching your hands, Peter.
Yeah, it was jazz.
Yeah, seriously.
We repeated the part over again when we fucked it up. Just make it apart.
I'm going to do a quick battery check.
I had no idea we were actually rolling. I thought we were just fucking chatting like, oh, so do you want to do this thing now?
That's the thing.
That's good.
I don't know what it is. Like, there must be some kind of chemical that just gets released in your brain after you're done packing up from a gig. And you're just like, you get in the car and you're ready to go. And there's something that releases in your brain that's like, I need to get the worst thing humanly possible for my body.
I feel
right now.
really good right now. I need to do something terrible.
I need to feel terrible
Yep.
for at least a day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, all throughout the 90s, like, I don't think I ever played New York without getting pizza to go, like giant New
Same.
York slices, and then driving home back to Boston.
Yep.
You know, getting
Sodas,
home covered
whatever.
in sauce and whatever. But yeah, the bad food after a gig, I've gotten better about it. It's more of like a snack
Mm-hmm.
issue post gig. It's like,
Me, it's like full-blown meal. Yeah.
yeah.
Not
But
good.
Abby Barrett likes to refer to that as second dinner.
Second dinner, yeah. Or from like Louis, the Bang Bang.
Yeah.
Bang
But-
Bang, double dip.
The Bang Bang though is like
Asian.
it's immediate though. There's no like
That's what- there's no waiting.
event in between.
You go from
It's
one
like,
restaurant to the other.
yeah, and you just eat until you're sad. You know, that's sort of like me with New Haven pizza. It's like I will eat until I feel terrible because the
Yeah.
slices are so thin that you can have 8 to 10 slices and be like, I feel fine.
Yeah.
And then like an hour later, you're like, why did I do that again for the 100th time?
Yeah, it's like I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Every single time after I do it, I say I'm never doing this again, and I do it every time.
And being pre-diabetic and doing that is not not advisable.
No, I can't
But
imagine.
whatever. As much as my Instagram feed is filled with pictures of pizza, it's like it's more of a shtick at this point. Where It's
Right.
just kind of like I know it pisses off a certain group of people, so I will do it constantly.
So I have to do it.
Like I'll just post pictures of pizza, even if I haven't had any of it. just to see what certain people will do. Like, oh, you like pizza? What? There's no cheese on that. That's not real pizza. It's like, oh, it's burnt. It's like, go fuck yourself.
So people talk shit about the Rhode Island, call it party pizza, red bread. You ever had this?
Is that just cheesy bread with sauce on it?
But it's not cheesy bread. There's no cheese on it. So it's just it's pizza strips. It's like a greasy red sauce with, it's like comes in a rectangle and you eat it. It's cold. The description makes it
Sounds tremendous.
horrible.
I'm gonna fucking drive to Rhode Island right now. Can I have some cold bread with red sauce on it?
Yeah.
And greasy?
Yeah. Extra grease, like an alarming amount of grease. And it's covered in like parchment paper, and then you take it off, and it's like saturated. It's incredible.
You're probably too young for this, but did you, like playing TTs in the Middle East, did you go to Hi-Fi Pizza?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe you're not too young for that.
Yeah. Well,
That went away not terribly long ago, but that was the worst. That was like, that was the quintessential after the gig food, was to go there, stand in line, get this greasy, congealed mess,
Just suffer.
and then drive home. I lived like 2 blocks from TT's at this point.
Right.
And by the time I would get home, this thing would just be like this sort of like decrepit mess on your front seat.
Right.
Where it's like, that was pizza 5 minutes ago.
Right.
And you would fucking eat it anyway.
Right. They should sell those things with, a slice of Hi-Fi pizza comes with like a Dirt Devil vacuum for your car and a air freshener.
Yeah, and like a hospital bracelet. Like.
You walk in. What's your name and date of birth?
Yeah, one of those Hi-Fi bracelets just shut up again. Wait, there's 4 guys in a row. They look like they know each other. Yeah, we got a whole band.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
TTs again? Yeah. Yep. We got another one, Doc. That's hilarious.
Have you been to Sonia yet?
No, haven't been to Sonia. I haven't.
It's TT's, but it's set up correctly.
Really?
They walk in, and instead of the stage being here, it's there.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty good.
Does it?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how, because Sonia's been around since I lived in Boston, which hasn't been for a while now. So,
it's a weird.
I always wanted to go.
Yeah, it's not like they've been doing like you do like some national stuff and like the Rumble stuff. The Rumble finals have been held there the last couple of years, but yeah, it sounds great. Like I've we've been doing gravel pit shows like once a year, and I'm like, oh, we should do it there, just for nostalgic reasons, because TT's was kind of like our stomping grounds. But it's like just big enough that it scares me. Like, oh, we can't really draw 400 people anymore, can we?
400 cap room?
Yeah, it's like 425 or something.
Okay. Did Middle East upstairs close?
Nope. No, I saw.
Okay. I heard that there was like danger of that happening or something. No?
I don't know. But I mean, yeah.
I dreamt that.
I saw some people play there recently and was just like, oh yeah, this sounds exactly like it did in 1995.
Mm-hmm. Same speakers too.
Probably.
I bet.
Yeah, loud as fuck.
I know that playing the downstairs was always like, it was so much fun. It's such a fun room, like low ceilings. It feels so like there's like a lot of raw energy down there.
Old bowling alley.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I miss playing there. The last time I played there was Love in Stockholm's last show.
I can't remember the last time I played there. I think I played there with Andrea Gillis 10 years ago, maybe. And it's weird, every time, like, I don't go to the Middle East very often, but every time I go see a show downstairs, I'm like, I feel really fucking old.
Yeah. I feel that way too, in places like that. And I'm not
like,
old.
And it's like, wow, and it's still really fucking loud.
Yeah. How do you feel about the music scene in Boston these days? A lot of people, like, whenever I talk to someone that's like in Boston, they talk about the clickiness of the music scene here. And I never really experienced that being in a band in Boston because like we had our own thing and stuff. But
I feel like it's probably always been like that. I mean, I think
Doing
no
the thing.
matter where you go, there's going to be cliques of certain kinds of bands. And
Yeah.
I think that's probably the same in New York and Chicago and LA and wherever.
yeah,
But I mean, the only thing to me that's different is it's like whatever. There are less places to play. And it's like,
for sure.
it's hard to sustain a business like that.
Yeah.
And I think, like when whatever COVID hit, that killed some places. And then when the world kind of opened back up, people went out in droves to see fucking bands play for like a month.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, I need live music. Yeah, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good with live music for a while. I've got rehearsal with Abby Barrett this evening.
Cool.
Because we're playing on Saturday.
Please tell her I say hello.
Yeah. How did you end up getting in touch with her? Did you just kind of knew who she was, or?
Yeah. Well, when she, I knew her from bartending at Toad, and
Oh, yeah,
I think,
of course.
I feel like we did a co-bill or something one time when.
Did we do the Lizard once?
I think so. And then we also did the, it was like the Boston Booze Cruise or something.
2012, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was singing background vocals with my ex's band at the time.
Yes, and then like that's how I met. That was the first time I met Jesse D.
Yeah.
And I knew Dave, like Dave Brophy. I'm not sure if he was even on that. I can't remember.
I think Brof was on that.
Tim Guerin maybe was on
Brophy
it.
was on it because Will Daly did it.
Yes.
Because Will and I put
right.
that whole thing together.
That's right. Because and then Will, I've done a couple co-bills as well. I'd love to talk to him sometime.
Oh, Will's the fucking best.
Yeah, I mean, and he's another guy. He's just a great artist. Been doing it forever.
Yeah.
He did the it was like 100 shows or tried to do like a show a day every.
Oh, during COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fucking crazy.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And I saw him play down at Askew in Providence, which is a cool little spot.
I like that place, yeah.
Cool little spot. But yeah, just the crew, the whole crew.
That was a great day.
awesome.
I have that poster up in a frame
Okay, nice.
from that, and it's like signed by everybody who played that day.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was fun. That was like I don't know why Daly and I thought that would be a good idea.
It was a blast.
It's like just get a bunch of our friends on a boat. Everyone plays like super short set.
It was a blast. It was awesome. That was one of the most fun gigs that we did.
It was super fun. Yeah, that was crazy. I remember whenever there was like a good amount of people who came on the boat too. We sold a decent amount of tickets. It was like
Yeah.
a couple hundred people.
I never remember that. I just remember like playing and just like having fun with you guys. That
It was like
the great part of it.
for me and Will, it was like a bit of a logistical nightmare.
Oh, I imagine. Until you just said that, I didn't know that you guys were the ones that put it together.
Yeah, because I was like, can we put this band that I've been working with on the bill? And he was just like, yeah, okay, yeah. Because it was all, like old, you guys were like the youth group. Like everyone
Yeah.
else was like 100 years old. It was like Tim and Dennis and Roy Sludge and Christian McNeil. It was all like all of our buddies, basically. Andrea Gillis. Yeah, that was a fucking good day.
Yeah, that was super fun. Let's do it again. No stress.
Yeah. I think I would do it with like 8 less bands.
Yeah, and on land.
So yeah, dude, I can put you in touch with Will. If there's anyone
Sure.
if there's anyone else you want to talk to, like I can
Yeah, I'm doing these like.
I can usually figure out how to get to people.
Yeah, that's one thing I struggle with because my schedule is crazy, and it's always I always feel bad asking people to like put themselves out there to connect me with somebody. So it's like
You shouldn't.
if things make sense, it's great, it's awesome. But I think these things are super valuable. Like the community behind this podcast and everything around it is like they're fucking rad. They're awesome.
Oh, good.
They're awesome people, and like, hopefully someone will go to Abby's show, and they're just really into music. They love seeing live music, and they love knowing like kind of like they're interested in what it takes to like make it happen. For for people to have a lifelong career in music and, you know, what that looks like and what it takes. A lot of them have kids that are interested in music, so they want to know how this works, how it can work. Because I've had the conversation a million times with family, and people are like, "Oh, you're still doing that?"
Right.
And it's like, they don't understand. It's not just like going up on stage and playing and like hoping for the best. It's like, no, like I have a podcast. I play with this guy. I play with this thing. I write songs. I put my own, you know, there's a lot of different aspects to it.
Yeah. It's not just one thing. It's like,
and there's plenty more. There's infinite amount of things you can do with it.
yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, because, you know, as we know, it's like playing in a band doesn't pay the fucking bills. So you kind of have to have like a multi-facet sort of version of it.
Right.
It's just like for me, like, you know, I've been working for this organization since 1995 in some capacity or another.
Right.
But like, if I just had this as my job, like, I wouldn't be able to live in Boston.
Yeah.
Like, I need to supplement my income with like playing on people's records and producing records and playing gigs, and somehow that all adds up to like a okay living.
Yeah.
It's not great, but it's.
But you're doing it. You're happy. And
I'm doing the thing I like to
don't know if you're
do.
happy.
I am. I mean, for the most part, I mean, considering the shit that I'm dealing with right now, I'm not the best version of myself, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Sure.
But I am thankful that I get to do what I like, you know, and I get to expose my kid to musical experiences that I wouldn't, if I worked at a bank or something, I wouldn't be able to do.
So you guys were at Joan Jett, was it last night or 2 nights ago?
2 nights ago, we were like side stage at Joan Jett.
Yeah.
Because someone...
Was that the Atlantis Morissette show too? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
Someone bid on like a thing to watch Joan from side stage, like for the hot stove thing. So they donated a bunch of money to the foundation to get these tickets, and then it came up that they couldn't go.
Oh man.
So the woman who runs the foundation was like, "Hey, do you and Augie want to go?" And I'm like, that sounds cool, because that was their first concert when they were 6.
How rad.
And so I was like, "Hey, do you want to watch we can watch from the side of the stage?" And I was like, "Okay." And then they heard 20 of us, they herded us and walked us out after the first song. And we're like standing next to like the guitar tech, like from me to you to the bass player.
Yeah.
And we're just standing there, and it was just like, and you could see the audience, and my kid was like, "I'm really nervous." And I'm like, "Why?" It's like, "Look at all those people." I was like, "You don't have to do anything. You're fine." And I'm still nervous. And, you know, we were taking videos and pictures or whatever. And it was cool for them to see the sort of inner workings of it, where like they walk us behind where the backstage, where like all the video screen stuff is happening. There's like the catering, and it was just kind of like, oh wow, this is like a whole fucking thing.
It's such a cool thing to see. The first time you see it, like how it all runs and the just like what's going on backstage.
I think they had no idea, and I think
size.
their sort of experience of performing is like they're an orchestra, and they do a couple of concerts a year where they get up and play their pieces. They play bowed upright bass.
Cool.
And they're super into that, and they've been going to shows since they were 6, and before that they don't remember, but we used to drag them to gigs all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, oh wow, this is like a whole fucking production.
Yeah.
And they loved it. And then the week before, I went to the Plant Willie thing, same deal.
Yeah.
Someone bid on these tickets, couldn't use them.
Wow.
It's like, "Do you want them?" I was like, okay, cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's, every once in a while my charity work kind of comes back, which is great,
Yeah, of course. Dude, it's rad. Well, thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, dude, it's great to fucking see you.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Thanks. Sorry, everybody. I'm the fucking worst.
Ed, as you can see, has played with everybody. He's awesome. He's a badass. Please sign up for the newsletter. Check that out. If you're one of these Boston people that was referred to this episode by Ed, wanted to hear what Ed had to say, sign up for the newsletter for some insights, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. I think you'll like it. And if you don't, you can always unsubscribe. That's all for now. Hope to see you guys soon. Bye.